Hey guys, this is another episode of the Asia Hang Suite. I'm Red Pole Q, and as usual, I'm here with
McConnell.
And today we have a special guest, a very, very special guest, her first time on the show, and her name is?
Elli.
Elli, and I brought Elli on the show because she has a very unusual relationship setup. And I met her a couple months ago through another friend of ours, and I was out with McConnell.
Yep.
And
usual suspects.
He was scheduled with a very skinny girl, and he brought along and she brought along Elli. So he brought me along, and that's how it all started. And in typical Red Pole Q fashion, I investigated, discovered all of her secrets, and now I'm here to share them with you. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Okay,
All
so
the secrets.
not all the secrets. Only probably about 20% of them, but it's a good start.
Yeah.
Okay, so Elli, you have you're officially so one of the things that was very funny about this is that when I met her, I she told me that she had a boyfriend that she'd been with for 13 years.
Since 2005.
Okay, 12 years. For 12 years, and they had just she's Taiwanese and he's American. He's American British.
British American. Well, you had to be born country and adopted country. So born country
Okay,
first.
his passport is
British and American.
Oh, he's a dual citizenship. Okay, got it. And they had just come back from living in the U.S. for several years. So generally speaking, when Asian girls go and live in the U.S. with someone they've been dating for 12 years, it's pretty typical that they would get married. And she said it was her boyfriend. So I thought, this sounds really odd, especially because most Asian girls really, 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 really want to get married. And even if they don't really, 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 really want to get married, their parents really, really, really want them to get married. So they just do it because, that's, the parents. So I was very intrigued by the fact that she was not married, even though she had this ongoing relationship that didn't sound like it was coming to an end at any point in the future. So I asked her why she decided not to get married. And as it turns out, she actually is married. but she tried to play it off as if she's not married. She's like, well, but we're not really married.
I'm not playing it off.
So I was really even extra confused.
It's a complicated story.
I was like, wait, so you are married, but you don't consider him to be your husband, but you live together and so what's going on here? And so that's how the conversation started. So I will ask her some questions so we can draw her out, and you guys can experience the wacky fun too.
Yeah. Wacky fun?
Yeah, wacky fun.
Or
That's yeah. So.
Sure.
Okay, so I have to say I was so confused. I'm still very confused. Why is it that you don't like to say that you're married?
In my mind, I'm not.
Okay.
So no matter what the paper says, it couldn't define my relationship, my marital status, regardless of piece of paper, really.
Okay, all right.
So if one day you decided that you didn't want to be married anymore, just that's it, you're done.
I can decide at any moment that I'm not married.
But you could decide at any moment you are married too, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so why do you?
It's not about the piece of paper. It's about your action.
Okay, so you
it's
don't.
It's about your real life.
Mm-hmm.
If you are married, you're living a married life. You are married. It's not about this paper says you're married, and then you're married.
So why do you consider yourself to not be living a married life?
Because for me, married life means having kids.
Oh, okay.
pay for your mortgage,
Okay.
and be a housewife or a working mom, do anything that a traditional marriage would expect you to do. For me, I'm not doing any of that. I don't consider myself a married woman. But they are things that I do, like I am married. I'm in this relationship for over a decade with the same guy. So, but that's not what I consider a married life should be.
I see. Okay, so for you, it's more about like your concept of what marriage looks like that defines marriage, regardless of the actual agreement or any kind of contractual.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you ever want to have kids in the future?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, so once you have kids in the future, then you're married.
No.
Okay.
Why?
Well, you said that
Kids
having.
does not. Yeah, living that kind of lifestyle. But
Okay.
once I have kids, doesn't mean I will live a married lifestyle either.
Oh, okay. So even when you have kids, you'll still consider yourself to not be married
Yes.
if you have kids.
Yes.
Do you think that your perspective is typical of Taiwanese women, of women anywhere, or
Probably not.
probably not? Okay, so what would you say is the normal perspective, the typical? Let's not say normal. Let's say typical.
Typical. Usually, you want to date first. If not, arranged marriage or matchmaking, however you want to call it, dating sites. And then you date for a while. You think this is good enough, or whatever you think
good enough.
a
Yeah.
husband
That's pretty accurate.
or wife material should be. Then you propose. You probably run the family together, and that's what I consider a norm. Or a normal marriage would be like. My little sister just found out she is 11 weeks pregnant.
Oh,
So they
congratulations.
are.
Right? Congratulations.
I'll say to her,
Is she married?
not yet.
Oh, I see.
Both my sister, I won't say had this kind of problem. It probably runs in family. They don't want to
Getting
get
cream pie?
married till they know they have to get married.
Oh, I see.
So my big sister got married at 20. While she was probably 6-7 months pregnant at the time. And my little sister just found out. So they're probably going to figure out an engagement date and get registered and all that.
Interesting. So is this a technique that runs in your family to lock down a guy?
Probably. Probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't agree with that kind of strategy, but that's very typical nowadays for a lot of modern couples. They don't think it's necessary to get married until they have solid proof or solid reason to.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I actually think it's a pretty valid... I actually would advise girls do that if they have, like, a guy who they've been with for a long time. Because then, if the guy is, like, doesn't want to marry them and then they get pregnant, then the guy, if he's a decent guy, and he's been with her for, like, 5-6 years, what is he going to do? Leave her? Very unlikely. So it's a great way to lock down a guy.
It doesn't really matter if you eventually get married with this guy or not. The responsibility of a child does not lie within the piece of paper.
That's true. You can have lots of... I mean,
You
this is
can
something that I
be
often...
married, and while the dad is away for so long, the child cannot recognize their own father.
Yeah.
So what's that kind of relationship represent to this child?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think this is it seems to me that it's very common for women in particular, because men don't spend that much time thinking about married life, for women to, have some image in their mind of what's going to happen once they get married, and they never consider the plenty of reality that they see around them in other people's marriages. And it's shocking to me, like, how they don't look at the actual results of most people's marriage and go, oh, maybe it'll look like that. Instead, they just...
Or they don't ask questions, like their friends are married and they say, oh, how's marriage? And the friends are like, oh, it's great. And they're like, okay, sounds good.
I think everybody is different. And as women, I think it's very important. that you need to know who you are as an individual. You need to know who you are in a relationship. You need to know what you're going to do as a mother without the partner, with the partner. And if you're clear of what you are going to do, who you are, it doesn't really matter if you're married or not.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you come to be such a weirdo?
Good question. I blamed it on my dad.
Oh.
Ever since I was young, he really encouraged me to read, to have independent thinking process.
Mm-hmm.
He does not really think
Is
that
he Taiwanese?
He is. I know, right? So, like, I totally blame everything on him because I have my own opinion. I have my own thought process. He does not ever stop it.
Interesting.
It's like, yeah, I can have an adult type of conversation with him as long as I can remember. He does not ever ask me to listen to him. Does not ever ask me to shut up. Well, not when he thinks he's not winning the conversation.
Okay.
So I was badly influenced by him. So I always have my own opinion about things. I'm not anti-authority. I'm just thinking that. Are you?
Definitely.
Well, I don't think I want to be anti anything. It's just like the authority's there. You can have your opinion. You don't have to be anti it. If you have your own opinion, I think we should be okay with that, and we shouldn't be labeling everybody as, oh, you have different opinion of this government and you're anti-government. I don't think we should label things so clearly. It's like, why does it have to be anti or pro? Why is it I just have different opinion. That's it. I'm not anti or pro anything. I just don't agree, and I have this different path that might be a little different. But am I anti? Am I pro? Why do we have to always put label on opinions? Opinions are opinions. We don't really label opinions.
Well, I, to be clear, I'm not actually anti-authority from like a philosophical perspective. I just don't like anyone telling me what to do. I don't. Other people can have someone tell them what to do. That's totally fine.
Anti-authority, probably.
So, just me personally. Okay, so at what point, at what point did you start thinking like this? Like when you were, in your, teens or something, did you have like the same thought process about relationships, or at that time were you, in the Disney fantasy land about,
waiting for your prince?
Yeah.
Come rescue you.
To be honest, I think my parents, I don't know if it's because of me or my parents, I never ever liked cartoons. So I'm not familiar with any Cinderella stories or any Disney movies whatsoever.
What about Doraemon?
Nothing. I don't even play dolls.
Oh, you
when
didn't
I
play
grew
with dolls?
up.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm way too practical. It's like, these are fake ever since I was little. Why do you have to play this little plastic figure with blonde hair and weird outfits and, I don't know, puffy stuff? I'm like, okay, they're cute, but they are really not practical. Really.
That's true.
So I never actually like any other little girls, I guess.
So did you mostly hang out with guys when you were like, in junior high school?
No,
or high school?
actually, I hang out mostly with girls up till like middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I was little, though I don't grow up myself like a little girl, I'm surrounded by little girls.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So when what happened in junior high school, you started hanging out with guys all the time?
Not all the time, but junior high, middle school-ish. I don't know. Middle school is US, junior high is Asian, right?
Well, actually, it's complicated because in the States it depends on what county.
They refer to both of them.
Yeah,
they use the both.
Yeah, about
pretty
like
interchangeable.
13-ish.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, at that time, certain kind of hormones start to, you really know who are girls, who are boys.
I see. So you were really into boys from the time you...
I don't think I was much of into boys, so to speak. I think boys were into me, more into me at that time.
In case you were thinking that maybe she's not a typical woman.
Well, I was more physically more into women.
Oh, really?
I remember every time I had a class break, I would go out and try to find my base mate at hardcore. Like, I haven't seen her forever, though we're in the same classroom.
Uh-huh. Okay.
We're in the same classroom, literally. But, like, we're sitting in a class, and then, so I have a class break, you're running to her. But around the same time, there'll be boys around us or me.
Oh, you're putting on quite a show.
I'm not exactly into boys. I'm like, okay, they are there.
I see. So what about now? Are you more into boys or girls, or you're either one? You're 50-50?
Not all the time. 50-50.
Oh, sometimes
more girls, sometimes more boys, sometimes 50-50.
So have you had more relationships with girls or more relationships with guys?
Friendship-wise, I have more relationship with girls.
Right, but what about, sexually or romantically?
I only kissed a few women, so it's really hard to know.
Oh, that's right. I think you told me that you're more on the bi-curious side at this point. You haven't actually experienced a woman.
I'm very, very passive.
Oh, really?
So when it comes to initiation of certain things, the other woman need to.
It seems really surprising because you seem very assertive.
No, I'm not.
I mean, you seem very assertive as a person in your personality.
I will be sitting in a bar when a girl talks to me, and I'll be chatting with her, but I'll be there. Just be there until she kisses me.
Okay, so is there a difference between the way you interact with girls and the way you interact with guys in that respect?
I'm more shy with girls.
You're more shy with girls than with guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a lot more intimidated by women than... I don't know why.
That's pretty funny.
It's so odd, right? You think, why are you shy? But I'm extremely shy with women I like.
Okay.
Really, really shy.
So in your relationship with your guy, because I know you don't like to call him your husband, and you don't really like to call him your boyfriend either. You like to call him your guy.
He's my guy.
Yeah.
Such a roommate.
Yes. Now, Mostly roommate. But you guys have a pretty, would you say you have a healthy, satisfying, I really don't like those terminology. Do you have a satisfying sex life? Let's leave out healthy. Hopefully it's kind of unhealthy. I like the unhealthy sexual relationships.
What's an unhealthy sex life?
I don't really think we should talk about that.
We have sex.
Regularly, like how often, typically?
Depends on how busy I am.
Oh, okay.
Well, if I'm like free all the time, of course, when you have all the free time, you have sex more. Like everybody else. When you're busy, you don't really have the energy and all that. So I think we have sex. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Do you usually initiate the sex, or does he, or is it mixed?
He does initiate a lot more.
Okay.
He initiates a lot more, or he just initiates
more.
a lot? Or both?
A lot more.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So in terms of your what are do you have some rules around your relationship? So I guess when we met, it became clear. Oh, right. I remember very distinctly. We were talking about this.
Talk about.
Maybe.
Okay,
Yes.
sure.
I don't. I'm not sure. Okay,
Go ahead.
But one of the things that came up was you were talking about how there was another girl that was spending time with your guy.
Yeah.
And you're not really a fan of that particular girl. You are much more of a fan of the girl that was with you at
Yes.
yeah, right. And you know, you sort of said like, yeah, I don't really like her. She's not my type, and I don't know why my guy is into her instead of being into, you know, the girl that was with us. I mean, with you.
I think the biggest problem is, I wasn't into the guy that my guy was into at the time, because I was into the girl that I was with at the time. But the girl I was with at the time
let's call the girl D, just to make it easier.
So
okay.
The biggest problem is
so
not
just
about...
wait, hold on for a second. So just to be clear, it was me and McConnell and Elli and D.
Yes.
The four of us.
Yeah.
And Elli really likes D.
I like her a lot.
Right. Both her personality, and you also like her physical look, right?
Yeah.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, right. Well, you know, McConnell's into, skinny,
Certain
flat-chested
type of
girls. So, you know, she fit the bill. And so, and there's another girl who is definitely much more Mr. Right's type, with lots of shapes, as you know, and you know, she's very curvy. Yeah, very curvy. And so this girl, we'll call her A. So A was hanging out with Elli's guy.
Yeah.
A lot. And so we heard, you know, so she was talking to D about this when we were all out for drinks. And so that's how McConnell and I were like, oh, this is very interesting. And so what the discussion was it was Elli saying that she didn't really like A all that much, and she didn't know why her guy was into A so much.
Yeah.
And why he wasn't into like D. And D...
No, he was.
Oh, he was into D. Oh.
D wasn't into her.
Him, I see.
That's
okay.
the biggest problem.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
So D wasn't into him. I see. Okay.
He's not her type.
Okay.
Okay.
I see. Okay. So from that, and then somewhere in there, you mentioned how you would like it if you had another girl in as part of your relationship with your guy. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so then, you know, we discussed more about, you know, your relationship setup. And so you told me a few things, so I'll just ask you questions so you can, you know, bring those out. So you don't have an exclusive sexual relationship with your guy?
Not particularly.
Not particularly meaning that in practice it's not exclusive, or meaning there's no rule around that?
There's no rules.
Okay, there's no rules.
Why? I mean, I'm also anti-rules.
Okay.
So
that's
like,
how I
why
feel.
do you have to have rules in relationship? It's about two people or more, and there's no set of rules. Everybody's different, and the time of life is different. You cannot really apply any rules in any kind of relationship that based on human.
Okay, so given that, you know, that in general there's not any particular, you're open to different arrangements.
Not different. Certain arrangement I would prefer, but it's not like set and done. It's not about like, I'm okay 100%. It really depends on that person, right?
Okay.
If like I'm just not happy with this person, with the dynamic of the situation, then I'm not okay with it. It doesn't really matter like, oh, I'm not okay, well, not okay. It really depends on how the dynamic is like.
Okay, so are there any, so it's very typical that, okay, let me ask more specific questions. So in the time that you've been together with your guy, have you and he dated other people?
Yes.
Okay, and is this, pretty frequent, or it's only happened a few times, or?
A few times.
And are there any, so first of all, did you ever feel any jealousy around, your guy seeing other
Sometimes. It depends on the girl.
Depends on the girl. Okay, so first of all, what kind of girls or what kind of situation made you feel jealous? And the follow-up question is, how did you deal with that?
Well, with this particular situation with A, she was kind of disturbing my life a bit. So we both work really hard to accommodate her schedule. So she's not making her available. It's like my guy is her last resort of something last minute or booty call. And for me, it's like if you are not investing, we are a serious couple.
Right.
So if you're not as serious as us, it's not exactly the kind of girl we like to hang out with all the time.
Right.
And it's not about jealousy. It's more to do with the anger
And her just being really annoying.
and not being a team player.
Right.
Because this is supposed to be a team relationship.
Right.
I'll say. So if she's like that to begin with, I don't really see much smoothing transaction.
Right.
So with her, I'm not cool with it, but I'm trying still to see, because this is not a very typical relationship. So that's why I was not exactly that happy with her. So with her, it's a little bit of jealousy, maybe a little bit more anger with the time when we really are trying, and the energy we're trying to invest in this kind of arrangement.
I see. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. I think that guys very frequently have this kind of feeling around dating girls because girls are often really annoying.
Time consuming, energy consuming, and mental. It's not easy to start a relationship, not to mention this kind of relationship.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
He's currently dealing with a very annoying girl.
Okay. What's her name? So I know her.
Actually, you might know her. We can talk about her
Okay,
after.
later.
Yeah, she's PR at one of the clubs here.
Yeah.
So that's why you might know her, and she knows A.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Everybody knows A. Okay, so have there been times in the past when you also so in this case, it sounds like it's more the fact that like this girl is basically fairly selfish, which is quite typical of girls, period, actually. In terms of dealing with guys. Maybe they're not like that when they deal with other girls, but I think they're kind of like that when they deal with other girls too. So I think that's pretty typical. So is that typically the way it works, where you feel that the way she is engaging with your guy and you is kind of inconsiderate? Is that primarily? Yes.
Now I have another question, and which is, so there's that aspect. What about the way that your guy manages these other women? Do you guys have a lot of dialogue about that, or?
We do.
Okay, so you guys are always communicating about how he's managing these other women.
Well, I'm a part of this arrangement. It's not just I'm actively participating. So I will be like, I'm cool with this. You guys can use this apartment at a time when I'm away. But during the week, I really want to be quiet and chill. So if anything is happening, try to do things when I'm away, because I really need my time in the apartment. And also, if I make the arrangement to go away, then I wish you guys have fun instead of frustration, or like any kind of things that it's not worth my arrangement. Right. I don't really have that kind of energy or time to waste on something that's not worth doing. So I want to make sure that everybody's have a good time, or it is they are comfortable. Right.
Okay, so if your guy is seeing another girl, are you usually involved in that sexually or not?
Not yet so far.
Okay.
Because we got back to Taiwan just not long ago.
Right.
So everything's still we're still building certain things.
What about when you were in the U.S.?
No, we haven't tried that because we didn't really find.
Any girls?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So it has to be like a good match. For
Well,
both of you?
we both have really high standards.
Oh, okay, got it.
I see.
Oh, so you just didn't find any girls at all that he was interested in.
Well,
I'm sure there were some that he was interested in.
not really.
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if he has high standards too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but guys, even if they
American.
have high standards, their standards are usually
That's true.
as high as girls' standards.
Well, we did manage to find one girl we both like.
This is in the States.
In the States.
Yeah.
She is a stripper,
Oh.
which we don't mind. She's gorgeous. She works out almost every day. And not only that she is a stripper, she is in real estate. I don't know how you call her. Either way, yeah, she's gorgeous. Unfortunately, we both we tried a bit, but she moved away
Ah, I see.
with her. But she will be ideal.
I see. So, okay. So ideally, you would like it if you both found a girl that you were into.
Ideally.
Okay. What about a guy? Would you have a? Oh, so what about you? Have you dated guys, or been sexually involved or romantically involved or whatever you want to call it with guys besides your guy in the past
Compared
12
to
years?
girls?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we talking about guys or girls or just guys?
Well, first just guys.
Maybe a few.
Maybe a few. Okay.
This is one guy I was seeing. He was okay with this kind of open kind of relationship, but I was not sure he's quite the right guy.
Why not?
He's much older.
How older is much older?
In his late 40s.
Oh. Okay.
For me, it's much older.
I see.
Yeah.
When was this that you met this guy?
A few years ago.
In the
States.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
And because he was much older, you weren't interested?
No,
But
it's
you were
more to
interested.
do with the dynamic of the relationship. It's probably not going to work out.
Oh, is that because of the relationship between him and your guy?
They are going to be competitive with each other.
I see.
So do you think your guy is always going to be competitive if you find another guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, though that guy is cool with me having my boyfriend, I don't think my boyfriend, at the time especially, will be cool with it.
So you think if your guy's older, that would be easier for him to manage because he would feel like as the older guy, he's like more dominant or something?
Don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's about feelings.
Right.
I really think this is my word, this might not work. I have this strong gut feeling this might not work.
I see.
So I'm like, I don't think we need to discontinue or pause.
Okay, so so what is sort of the ideal setup for? Oh wait, actually, before we get there, so is it common that? So I guess you don't feel. It seems like you don't have a lot of feelings of jealousy in general. It's more about whether any other women are respectful of the relationship that you guys have and sort of respectful of the parameters that you put. So for example, okay, well, if you want to meet at this time, that's fine, and that sort of thing. But it sounds like you're not actually really like concerned that they're drawing too much of your guys' attention away from you.
I like my own time a lot. So if she is contributing to dividing his time, I'm actually quite happy for some reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, in general, I don't really know why I don't have the sort of jealousy over the other woman or the other women. I just think it's good for our relationship, and
a lot of guys feel this way.
yeah, so it's more to do with how you see this relationship as a whole versus my own feeling over this person, because it's long-term wise, you are actually doing this relationship something good. Short-term wise, their personal feeling you can get over your personal feeling pretty quick. Yeah. So if you're just focusing on your own feeling at the time, it's only a matter of minutes and days. But long-term wise, you look at this relationship, if he's happy, she's happy, I'm happy, isn't that win-win-win?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ain't no question. So my next question for you is, what about in his case, does he feel quite a lot of jealousy when you were seeing other guys, or?
He does feel a lot more. He is more of a jealousy type. Yeah, but I try to keep it on a as need basis.
As need, meaning as
So you don't tell him that much about your private dating life?
Not much.
Okay.
Unless he's feeling like this is affecting my life.
Right. So as long as it's not having an impact on him, he doesn't really care?
No.
Okay.
It's a lot to do with how much that is going to impact our relationship.
Right. Okay. So if it doesn't have any effect on your relationship with him, then he doesn't care.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see. So how do you arrange it so it doesn't really impact your relationship with him? Or what kinds of, or give me an example of something that you did so that it didn't really affect him.
Don't know. That's a good question. I'm not so sure how to answer that question.
Because
so.
because what I'm thinking is, does it mean that you would only see these other guys when he was at work, or you would only see other guys if he was with another girl, or or do you not? Do you have like an arrangement? Because this is very typical in, let's say, Japanese culture. It'd be very typical that they would say, "Oh, I'm going to go out with a friend," and the details are not really discussed. And that way, because it's pretty much always like that, they don't ask a lot of questions, so they would never know whether it was a guy or a girl or what. And that way, there's kind of this, it obscures whatever might be happening.
I think it's more of a case-by-case situation. It really depends on the schedule arrangements. Yeah. As far as my guy is concerned, as long as it's not affecting our relationship, you can go ahead and do things you like.
Okay.
And he will prefer not to know.
Oh, he prefers not to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of people who might be listening to this who might think, how come you want to see other guys? I mean, if you really love your guy, then you wouldn't want to do that. Don't get me wrong, I'm not of this camp at all, but for those people who are out there, because normally they hear from us as guys, so it's good to hear from a woman.
I don't know why. Feelings are really hard to control. When you have feelings for someone, it doesn't mean that you don't have feelings for another person. I can have feelings for this person around the same time, totally different gender. But it doesn't really mean I don't love this person. I love this person as my partner, as a good friend that I want to have a really, really long-term relationship with. But this particular person that I'm currently involved with, I might have this weird, strong feelings about, and I probably want to develop, I probably don't, but does that mean I have to just totally get rid of my old relationship? I don't think that, for me, there's no certain rules about, it's 1 or 0. And then I don't like to define by this kind of, I don't define my relationship 1 or 0. And I would prefer to live my life as I consider to be my life. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So then I have a lot of questions, but the next question I have is, a lot of relationships that last 12 years or even 5 years, it's very common that people start to lose the sexual attraction for their primary partner. So it sounds like for you that hasn't really happened. Do you do certain specific things in your relationship to make sure that that sexual energy stays, or is it just that, or do you feel like you just got lucky, or?
I think having this kind of, I consider this an open relationship. Having this kind of open relationship actually stimulates sexual life
definitely.
in a way. You cannot really deny that. From my perspective, I really don't want to be like, I don't want people to say that this is it, I'm done. And I want to have all options when I want to, but it doesn't mean I cannot be in a long-term relationship.
No, obviously. You've been with this guy for 12 years. I have a
longer than the most marriages.
Yeah.
No.
I have a female client, and when I said to her, I want you to come up with a list of reasons why a guy would want to date you, which was very difficult for her to do because women, well, most guys, well, women don't think about this stuff even less than guys do, and guys don't think about it that much. But the first thing on the list is she said, I'm loyal. If I'm with you, I'll be with you. And if I'm not going to be with you, I'll tell you. And I was like, I don't think, to me, that doesn't really sound like loyalty, because all it means is that I'm going to be with you until I decide not to be. Like, and I said to her, that I know of a girl who she doesn't, she has no intention of leaving the guy that she's with, but she will sleep with other guys. And to me, in a lot of ways, that's even more, she's Taiwanese, that's even more loyal, because she's saying, look, I'm not just going to leave this guy because, I might have some, short-term or sexual feeling for somebody else. So to me, that's like a much higher level of loyalty. It's like, I'm just not leaving. So, it's interesting, given what you were just saying.
Yeah.
About how other people are, really serious about their relationship, and they're really loyal and they're really dedicated, but then they just end their relationships entirely.
It's the way you see a relationship. If this is going to make your relationship a better relationship, and you are trying to maintain it, it's more important than just being loyal. Than
you mean being sexually exclusive?
Yeah.
Yeah, I said that to, a lot of guys. They want to know if their girlfriend is cheating on them or something. And I tell them, well, maybe she is cheating, and that's why your relationship is so good. Have you ever considered that?
Yeah. I read a lot of articles about that. Yeah. Actually, when you are cheating, you have much better relationship with your spouse.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this. We have a relationship. I
don't actually like the word cheating.
Yeah, I think it's a bad way to say that behavior.
Yeah, I agree with that. I have a relationship seminar that I teach, and we have a group chat in there. And, there was just a discussion yesterday, I think it was, about how, like when they're not seeing other girls and the girl they're dating is giving them problems, it like really makes them annoyed. Mm-hmm. But if they're like seeing other girls, then it doesn't bother them as much, and they feel much more willing to sort of deal with her emotional whatever it is, because they're like, well, okay, it's fine. But when they're like only 100% focused on her, they really feel like, come on, I'm 100% focused on you and you're giving me all this shit. Like,
when my guy is dating, especially if he's got some problem with this girl, I feel like I should help her more. So our relationship is actually better as a team versus we're always arguing about our little problems.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, so if this girl is sick, you go ahead, take care of her. I'll take care of the house. I'll do laundry. I'm much nicer when he's with this other girl sometimes because I think if she needs this kind of attention, I should be contributing to this. So in a way, I'm a better person because of this kind of relationship.
Yeah. Do you know where I can get another one of you?
I think all the guys listening to this want to know that.
You had to clone me.
Okay, so then the next question I have for you is, did you guys have this arrangement from the very beginning of your relationship, or was this something that came about later?
Probably not the very beginning. Like any other relationship, a very beginning relationship, you really are focusing on the two of you. You get to know each other, get a lot of chemistries, and later on you can talk about long-term kind of stuff. I mentioned earlier on this relationship that I am very into an open relationship. Mm-hmm. But he's like, no, I'm not getting into that.
Oh, he wasn't into it.
But if you're with a girl, I'm cool with it. But I'm like, if I'm with a girl, it's none of your business. So
Yeah,
we
laying
had
down the
some.
law.
Yeah, I mean it's my girl, not yours. So nothing to do with you. But we did talk about this kind of stuff, and much later on in this relationship, we are more serious about this kind of relationship, and we talk more details about if we are going to kind of get into this kind of what would work.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about more about I don't want you to be with a guy, but if you really want to be a guy, I prefer not to know. Or if you want to be with the girls, feel free to let me know, because I am happy to assure her that our relationship is I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm the wife, you're not. Mm-hmm. That kind of, I'm the first, you're the second, blah, blah, blah. I want us to be a family. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Versus I'm here first. I don't want that. I want someone to be in this relationship to make this better, versus I'm the authority figure and you're not. You're my servant. Mm-hmm. So if you need my help to do anything, no matter I like this girl or not, if you like her, let me know if there's anything I can do. Because it's very important that we are all comfortable in this arrangement.
Okay.
So we got into more details later on. I think it's quite important that we talk about this. It's quite clear. I won't say it's a rule, but it's a general guideline. Mm-hmm. You know what your guys might not want to know, the details of certain things, and there's no need to keep him updated. Mm-hmm. As long as it's not affecting your relationship with him.
Right.
But if this guy is like, yeah, I have no problem talking to you about it as long as you're having no problem. And I already make it clear, I'm happy to be here with you to help you out. So if you're having problems, for example, this particular girl, she's not quite ideal type, but she has been into a similar relationship before. Mm-hmm. So she can be okay with this kind of relationship, but she has this really insecure kind of feeling also. Mm-hmm. So I told him, if you want me to talk to her anytime, let me know. But unfortunately, it didn't work out.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask two questions. The first one is a pretty short question, which is, have you had this kind of arrangement with previous guys that you dated? I know it's been a long time, but going back 12 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's probably too long.
Then my other question is, how do you...
I'm more interested in a relationship with girls than... with a girl, it's more like a long-term kind of relationship. With a guy, it's very casual. So, those are like two separate things.
Okay. So, I wanted to know how you go about communicating your relationship setup to potential people that you're going to bring in. So, do you, when he meets a new girl, like how does he go about communicating the situation? Or when you meet a guy, or when you meet a girl, how do you go about communicating your situation?
I think when we both know that it's time to really let the other person know this is what my current relationship is, and of course at the very beginning you don't say anything. You're just trying to know who this person is and what kind of relationship they're in. They might also be in a relationship. I'm not saying that they will be 100% single.
Right.
There was this ideal guy that I mentioned earlier. He was in a relationship, a long distance relationship with another girl at a time. That's why I think it's perfect for me. But I just don't think it's going to work out for my side of relationship. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. So initially, you really get to know that person first before you tell that person about this kind of relationship. Mm-hmm. And we don't usually like to, I won't say lie, we don't prefer to lie. we would like to reveal our relationship status as soon as the time is appropriate. Because eventually we want this person to know this is what this relationship will be like in order for us to continue.
So normally, how do you communicate? You know, like, so if I was a guy that you were like, you know, interested in, and we went out together or something, you know, like let's say I invited you out for drinks or something, and you know, we were talking, and you know, I was like, oh yeah.
Probably not like that.
Then you know. By the way, that's some of my best moves. You can learn that on my site.
Best move. Oh God.
No,
don't ever learn from him.
You know, because I think when we met, our situation was quite different. Because I mean, you know, we didn't meet because we were, you know, sort of interested in each other because we didn't know each other.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you started talking, I started to notice that things were a bit odd. And then I started digging around to figure out what was going on. And I guess that's not pretty typical of your experience.
Probably not.
Right. So
the guys that I'm more into is he doesn't really ask too much questions. He knows the basic stuff, and he doesn't care about anything else. And that's the kind of guy I would love to date.
Why is it better if he doesn't ask questions?
Because what's the point to know all this?
What if he's totally okay with everything? And he's just like, oh yeah, that's fine.
That's
whatever.
even better.
Okay. Because I mean, like, I asked a lot of questions, but I you know, but I was just curious. It's not like a thing that would bother me.
Well, just basically the basic stuff that he needs to know. That, for example, I'm in this relationship. He knows I'm in this relationship. He does not care about me having this relationship.
Right.
And or like he's like, okay, yeah, don't ever live with this guy, but I'm happy with you. Whenever you have free time, or like, well, I like just hang out.
I see.
Or stuff like that.
So you mean you don't want a guy who's like, what are you doing? Who are you with? Are you with that other guy? Like, you don't want like that.
If you're that kind of guy,
are you with your husband again?
What
the fuck? What is this shit?
Yeah, I don't really need that kind of guy at all. I mean, very early on, I would let this guy know this is the kind of situation I'm in. Not like the first date,
right?
Probably not. But later on, like, I don't know if you know or not, but I really like you, but this is where I am now. So I think you need to know. So if it doesn't work out with you, I will be sad, but I really want us to work out if you're okay with this.
Oh, it's totally my line.
What, really?
Yeah, you know, because I generally don't agree to exclusive relationships with girls. So if they press me about it, then usually that's what I'll say. I'll say, well, you know, I understand if you're...
I would prefer guys who would just ask questions when they really need to. And it's about the relationship. It's not about this person's past. I think it's very important to know what kind of relationship you want to be with this person, especially with this kind of relationship. And I need to know what kind of guy I want. It's not like I want to go out date with guys all the time.
Yeah.
And I know I want to explore event, and not only just guys, but
You made that very clear.
I'm not going out all the time just to get that.
Right.
I can get attention anytime I want it, when I want it. But I don't just do it all the time just for the sake of it.
That's very true, by the way. I know you can't see her, but...
Thank you. So I'm highly selective when it comes to potential relationship. Yes.
So, okay, so my next question is, does it... So it sounds like for the most part, you see other guys or other girls separately from your guy, and he sees other girls separately from you. But is because you said that you've never, I guess you guys have never had a threesome before. Is that correct?
Not yet.
Okay. What about swapping? Have you guys ever done?
No, we don't like swapping.
Oh, okay. You don't like swapping. Wait, who doesn't
it's
like
not
swapping?
like we talk about it, but we're like, no, not exactly mutual decision. We
Okay.
talk about it, and we're like, I think all the swappers or whatever you call them, they are not exactly attractive.
I think it's hard to find attractive
Yeah, so
couples who. It's hard to find attractive couples,
yes.
and then it's harder to find attractive
Yeah.
couples who want to swap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we kind of just give that one up.
I see.
early on.
Yeah.
So it's not that you're against swapping in principle.
I'm not.
It's more that you just haven't met any couples that you thought, oh, this would be a good. Okay, so for
I haven't met any attractive couples ever in my life. Well, I met probably one in Austin.
I see.
That's pretty much it. I like it, but I like both the girls and guys.
I see.
Okay.
Well, that means I need to both love them. It's not just
Right.
about the girl or the guy. I need to love them both.
Right.
Right.
That's what I consider attractive couple.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So does the idea of your guy being with another woman, does that excite you, like sexually excite you? Does it turn you on? Is that a turn on for you?
I don't know really is a turn on point. I like to see competition. Yeah,
I see. She's got a big grin on her face right now.
it's weird. Like I'm not usually very motivated, but if I see a really beautiful girl, then I'm really like motivated to do a lot more. That's the competitive side of me.
I see.
Weirdly, I'm usually not competitive.
But have you ever seen him having sex with another woman?
They hug and kiss in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Or-
But not full on sex.
No.
Oh, okay. Why not? I mean, is there?
Well, usually we have to talk about this. At this point, I'm not quite ready yet.
Oh, okay.
Especially that any kind of relationship, you kind of have to take it like one step at a time. I'm cool with them kissing in front of me, hugging, groping. So far, I don't really know how I would react when they have have sex in front of me.
I see.
So I don't really know how would I react to it yet. We haven't talked about it, so we haven't really arranged anything like that.
I see.
So a lot of times I like to talk about certain things before we continue,
No,
physically or mentally,
Right.
because I don't want to be like, get hit by particular thing. If this is going to happen, I want to be prepared mentally at least, so I know what's going to happen. And I think it's very important that you kind of prepare yourself in that situation, because this is not typical.
Right.
And if you're not preparing yourself for that kind of situation, you don't really know how everything will turn out.
Yeah, I have a friend who used to be a really into the swinging world, and and especially he did a lot of gangbangs where he and other guys would go, and some girl that was into that and maybe her boyfriend or husband would sort of arrange for them to come over.
You
And,
two need to really talk about certain things, certain scenarios first, right?
And and he's dating a girl seriously now and for a while, but when he first started seeing her, he didn't sort of bring her into this because he didn't know that it was going to be like a serious relationship. And so then, but he had a friend of his that they would commonly do gangbangs together, and so he brought this friend over because he's really into double penetration. Like that really turns him on to double penetrate a girl. I mean, anal and vaginal double penetration.
Got it.
And he's really into that. And he was saying that.
I know.
Yeah. He's really
It's
into
a height.
that. Yeah. And
You need to smaller guy, right?
I guess it depends on the girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also wonder what that would work with guys in general,
Well,
because it's actually a lot more difficult with guys,
Yeah.
right?
Well, what you can do if you want to have some idea of what the experience is like, I mean, you have a dildo, so one in, and then, he can, move that dildo in and out while he's in the other hole and give you a taste.
No, I mean, I wonder if from the guy's perspective.
Oh, she's asking
it.
like it's hard for the guy, like
Not
it's
for
like
the
physically
girl.
difficult for the
Oh,
guys to like
oh.
be in that.
Yeah, I'm not talking
I
about a
think that
girl.
the standard position is that one guy is on bottom, so the girl is riding him, and so she's kind of in a doggy style type of position, and then the other guy is sort of in a doggy is behind her. I think that's usually how it works.
I just don't know how it worked for the two guys.
I mean, how would the guys feel?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, in this guy's case, he feels really
Yeah.
good, apparently.
Okay.
But the thing, and
I
so
feel odd.
and so what he was saying is that for him, what was interesting about that experience with this particular girl is that it actually made him very uncomfortable to see her with this other guy. But the thing that was really
It makes
interesting,
him uncomfortable, made her uncomfortable.
it made him uncomfortable. Oh, she was totally into it.
Oh,
But
okay.
the thing that he said was that what bothered him was he didn't like the foreplay aspect. So her and him doing foreplay together. And but so if he could just do all the foreplay and the guy could just show up and just shove it in one of the designated hole, then it would be totally fine.
Then there's no point to involve a third person. You just get a dildo or something,
Yeah.
right?
Look,
Yeah.
For his perspective, I mean,
Yeah.
if you really don't like to,
I think it was just in this particular case, he was saying because they didn't start the relationship out with that in the beginning.
Uh-huh.
It was like
So-
he wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
So
that's why you need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
it's a premeditating process.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
absolutely.
definitely.
So I was bringing this story up as an example of sort of why, and sort of how it's important to know, and how you don't know exactly how you're going to react.
Exactly.
A lot
Until
of
it
times
happens.
in the
I
experience.
want to test out things to see how I feel, how everybody feels before we get full on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
this is it's just as much emotional, physical, spiritual stuff as anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really take it at full force. You want to do like kiss, hug, groping, and maybe naked body and something, and later something else. For me, it's a process. And why do you have to rush into straight on?
Yeah.
So that's why it was interesting to me that you said that you felt okay seeing him kiss and hug and grope another girl.
Yeah.
Because I would think that a lot of people would feel like my friend feels, where it's like the more intimate things are not, are uncomfortable, but if it's just like him just, giving her the hard pounding, then they're like okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, we would take turns in a way. So he will spend time with her, and he will spend some time with me, and he will be extremely nice to me because of this arrangement. And I really
Fair
feel
enough.
like this is. I wanted the quality time that he has with me when he's nice, romantic, and caring. And he will do that as much as fairly as possible. And I like that kind of arrangement. Versus I'm getting all the attention from this guy. I don't have my own free time. So for that particular, I know when he's doing certain things with this particular girl, I know he's being a gentleman. I know he's being nice, and he's doing the same thing to me. And at some point, at some level, I feel that this is actually something I want. This is just very personal. Because I don't really need this guy's full-on attention with me, or when he's in good mood or bad mood, or he's nice or not. I don't want to take him all.
Right.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of women who feel the same way, but
Yeah.
their solution isn't for him to get someone else. Their solution is for them to just be mean to him.
Yeah.
It really is not the solution.
Yeah.
For me, it's not. I want to have my free time, and this is going to give me my free time. This is going to give him the kind of relationship he's okay with. I think it really depends on what kind of relationship you both want. It's not one way; it's
Right.
3 ways as well.
Yeah.
So in your ideal relationship setup, there would be what's your ideal relationship setup?
Ideally, I want to grow old with a guy or two. or
Okay.
a guy or a girl.
Okay.
Well, I'm not limiting anything.
Okay.
Just with a person who you really.
I can talk to, I can communicate, we have same value, we enjoy our lifestyle. If we're raising a kid together, it's good, that's cool. I want this person to be in my life as long as possible. I mean, there's no limits of anything, but I hope I can grow old with this person or this people.
Right.
For me, I don't know why that we are restricted, or the society kind of expect you to grow old with this one guy or this one person. For me, eventually, if your life has only you and your wife or you and your husband, it still feels really lonely. Yeah. So.
So you already have a guy who I guess you plan on being with, forever or indefinitely. So if there was and what about his ideal setup? That's a better question.
Well, his ideal setup, of course, there will be 3 of us. Sexually,
So
spiritually, and
you
all
him,
that.
and the same, and one girl, and just staying together for like a long time, or you, him, and any other girl randomly.
I don't know about his, or he's not the kind of guys who would just want 3P at random hours.
Okay. So he kind of wants a specific, like another girl to be involved with both of you, who you both are into, and
Long
you
term.
guys can long term, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay, and that's the arrangement that you are very happy with too.
I am.
Okay. But so now you're just looking. So essentially, you guys are looking for a girl, a stable girl to bring into your relationship.
Yeah, in
I
a
see.
way.
In a way. What do you mean in a way?
Or in our way.
Oh. Okay.
Just not any kind of way possible, because
Right.
it's this is still the kind of society that it's not exactly all that open. I mean Europe, some part of Europe is totally cool, but not so much in Taiwan just yet.
Right.
I don't know how much is going to change in the next decade or 2. So we also need to know how far can we go with the society that we're in. I know in Austin, publicly, there was this guy from London. They wrote an article about him having a second wife.
Oh.
Or a girlfriend.
By the way, this is AFC Adam. For those of you who might be in the pickup community, you might know of AFC Adam.
Do you know him?
Yeah, actually, I've met him.
Yeah.
And actually, AFC Adam has done this with two different. I'm not sure if the women were the different in both of these setups that he had, but certainly with one, he had one setup that was 2 girls, and then he had another setup with 2 girls. Maybe one of the girls was the same in both. I'm not really sure, but he was in the newspapers twice for this.
He has a wife, and the second girl comes along. I think the second girl likes them both, and I think they either get pregnant around the same time or kind of close to each other. Yeah, so that's when, I don't know, it was a while ago, but like maybe this year or last year, article.
Maybe AFC stands for all female cream pies.
So I don't know, but this is a little more acceptable in some part of the states.
Yeah. Definitely.
Not 100% sure this is totally cool with the society here.
Well, I think that it's more typical that in Asia that there would be 2 separate families.
In secret.
Well,
Not in
it would be
Not
set up in
publicly.
such a way that you mean that other people don't know about it, right? I would say that that's a pretty common
They are pretty public about it.
Asia setup. But we know of other setups that are not that are pretty that are sort of that are like that as well, where it's it really, I think that the idea of a guy in Asia having, sort of kids with more than one woman is not very unusual, actually. But I would say that people make some efforts to make it appear to the wider community that they have a, standard relationship set up, probably just because they don't want other people to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, and of course, there's some concern about how the kids might, be treated if other people know and that sort of thing. But I don't think that it's actually that uncommon of a setup, actually.
I just don't want them. It's still like very secretive. If you're having a second wife, and usually they don't live in the same place, they might get along, and they might not get along, but at the center, it's about the guy. It's about, I'm having first wife, second wife, third wife. It's about that guy. But the kind of relationship I want, it's not just about him. It's about us.
Right.
And the third girl, it's a three people decision that we want in this kind of relationship. So it's a little bit different than what you consider a traditional multi people relationship in the society we're in.
But the thing that I want to say about that is I think that probably it's not. I think that the societal impression, it's sort of like, okay, in the U.S., it's very common that celebrities or, especially that if, one of them is caught, quote unquote, cheating, that they will end the relationship.
Yeah.
But I actually think that that's a societal imposition a lot of times. And probably a lot of times they're totally okay with it.
Yeah.
But because there's this publicity around it, they feel that they sort of have to.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel this is similar where it's sort of like, because in Asia there's a whole thing about face that sort of the women have to act like they're really unhappy with the situation and they're just going along with it, but they might actually really like each other and be totally fine, as friends and like each other. So I think there's a lot of times there can be some play acting involved, or a lot of times the for example the first woman on the scene. She sees her partner as a partner and not really someone that she's really sexually interested in all that much. So she actually doesn't mind. And then, and then the fact that there's, and a lot of times they're like you, I think, where they don't really want to be the sole person who always has to be taken care of or looking after or being involved with the guys. They're kind of happy that, there's somebody else in the relationship too. And I think that that's far more common than people think. But people like to present it that way so that they fit into general society.
Yeah.
So lots of girls will go around going, oh, you won't believe my boyfriend. He's cheating on me with this other girl, blah, blah, blah. But they never break up with them.
Yeah.
You have to wonder, maybe she doesn't really mind all that much, but it's just like a thing that she has to sort of think that she cares about.
I just don't really get the contradiction part of the societal idea. People say certain things and they do certain things. I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm like, I say certain things, I do certain things. I'm not really a big fan of the face culture of Asia because what's the face is about? It's really, I won't say it's superficial, it's nonsense to me. It's like, this is your life. You mind your own business. But unfortunately, in Asia, it's not just about minding your business. It's about me minding other people and strangers' business a lot. And then, for the sake of that, though you're in an open relationship, you have to pretend that you are the victim of this relationship, or I made a mistake, or you have to really fit into the societal standard of things.
Right.
And then for me, it's really like contradicting and confusing.
So I have okay. I think maybe this is. Well, I'm not going to say this is the last question, but it might be the last question, but maybe not. So for any, do you talk about this with your female friends? Do they know about your relationship setup, or is this something that people don't really know about?
not a lot of people know about this. I think it's quite personal. Dee knows it.
Yeah, of course.
But you don't really talk about this kind of stuff with everybody. It's my own choice.
Yeah.
It's not their choice, and there's not much they can do to help me either. This is also too intimate to discuss with anybody you know. So I think so far only a few people knows about this, and the people that I talk to, I know for sure they are cool with this idea.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I lie to most of my friends. It's just because they probably don't understand it, and
Well, they probably
I don't
don't
really
ask
want to
the-
cause problems
Right.
just because I tell them that.
Well, most people are very good at making assumptions about what's happening, so they'll just assume that.
People can be really judgmental.
Yeah.
Especially here.
Yeah.
There's no need to say more.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you tell other girls particularly about this arrangement, what is their typically? I mean, I know are they sort of curious because they are interested in the same kind of arrangement, or how commonly do you meet other girls who maybe haven't considered this as a possibility, and then they hear you and they're like, oh, yeah, I could use some more alone time.
Most people, when I casually mention this kind of idea in conversations, and most of the time they will express how they feel, but nobody really are like, okay, this is definitely a big no-no or a big yes. People do have this kind of, maybe I'll try, maybe I won't. So people I talk to about this kind of concept are usually people they can probably be flexible about this kind of relationship. But I don't really talk about this kind of stuff to everybody.
Right.
So it's really hard to know what most people think.
Yeah.
So for anyone who might be interested in having this kind of arrangement, or maybe for girls especially, because I think it's not that uncommon that guys would be interested in this kind of arrangement. Although there are guys who don't. But what kind of advice would you have for them in terms of the typical maybe issues or problems, or just any advice for people who would be interested in this kind of thing?
For the guy or the girl or the third person?
For
guys or girls who are interested in
guys or
having
girls,
what you have.
Yeah, guys or girls who are who are maybe in a relationship already, and are thinking that maybe they want to move from the current standard relationship type to an open relationship, or people who have only experienced a standard relationship type and they might want to try this kind of
From my experience so far, first, you really need to be honest with your own partner. If this is something that you don't like, or you don't think it's going to work out, be honest with him or her. Because if you are not being honest, in the future there will be problems. It's not small problems. It's going to be big. So if you're like, oh my God, I really want this, but I'm not comfortable, but I really want to please him, you need to let them know to begin with. I know you really want this. I'm not 100%. So can we talk through? Can we talk about this? Can we just try this first, or can we not do this? I think it's very important to be sensitive for guys. So no matter how much you want this, you also have to respect your partner.
Yeah.
But eventually, do you want to be with this partner or not?
Yeah.
And if you are showing the certain kind of consideration towards your long-term partner, I think it's very important to really respect how she feels. Because ultimately, it's going to impact your relationship in various ways. So talk about it with real, honest opinion.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to please each other. Because the more you do that, the more likely you're going to have big problems in the future. And then also, you don't really have to set certain rules. Because this is not exactly a kind of relationship that is expected in every society. So it's a very trial and error, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you like this guy. Maybe if I'm with this guy, do I tell my partner about it? Do I tell this guy about it? I think this woman needs to know both guys first before they can talk to them about the dynamic of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to think about two people instead of just you.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about your partner's feeling. You have to think about the other guy's feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very important for this woman to be mature enough
Mm-hmm.
to really know what exactly you want. I want to be with this partner, and is he okay with me being another guy? What's the baseline?
Right.
I think for the woman, you need to know what's the baseline for this kind of relationship.
So in your case, you said that your guy doesn't want to know about, anything that you do with other guys. How did that come about? How did you get to the point where he could say, well, it's okay if I don't know about it and it doesn't bother me? Because I think most people, and this goes for guys and girls, wouldn't be able to say, well, it's actually okay, but I don't want to know about it because it would bother me if I knew, even though by having this discussion, they now know, So a lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. So in your case, how did you go from him saying like, I'm not down for that, to being like, okay, well, if I don't know about it, it's okay?
With this guy that I tried to date, because I feel like he's going to be a threat to our relationship, and I had problems at the time with my relationship with my partner, and we kind of had to live separately for a while because of this.
Oh.
And so since that experience, we both know that if you're trying to hide things, eventually you're going to hurt this relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And from then on, he'll be like, okay, I want you to let me know certain things, but I prefer not to know. But this is definitely affecting our relationship,
mm-hmm.
and we need to do something about it.
Well, that's pretty interesting. So, so this is the older guy?
Yeah.
And so when you started seeing him, was it because he was very demanding of your time, or what was he doing that was causing problems?
Well, he wasn't causing any problem.
Oh, okay. So what was it that when he became, when you started seeing him, how did that create problems between you and your guy?
Seeing him caused problem with my partner. So it confused me a bit.
Oh, because you thought, why are you, all...
For me, they cannot coexist.
Okay.
And so I had that time, I'm like, okay, I need some time to figure out what's going on. And do I want to be with this guy? Do I want to be with two guys? Do I want to be in relationship, period? Mm-hmm. So at that time, I was really, really confused. And so we both agree it's probably time to really figure things out. Mm-hmm. So he moved out for about a month, and mm-hmm. I didn't talk to that guy at all. So I had this time to really figure out what exactly is going on. Mm-hmm. And after that period of time, I decided, obviously they cannot be in my life at the same time. Mm-hmm. And who do I choose? It's not about the open relationship. It's about the original relationship I'm in. Mm-hmm. So my focus was quite career after the break. So I want this relationship to work out. And that guy, the other guy, was there kind of just to... Well, he was a great guy. But he was causing problems with my original relationship. And after a while, I'll be like, do I want this relationship or not? I need to figure out myself.
Was he causing problems because you started to become more attached to him? Or
it's more to do with I have doubts of my original relationship.
Ah.
He was more the symptom It's not the original cause. The original cause was I have dealt with my original relationship.
I see.
So I was seeing this guy as an outlet. Right? It's very common for most people.
Yeah, definitely.
When you have a situation in one place, you seek out outlets in other places. But you have to really kind of think back or sit down to really think what exactly is going on with your life. Why am I seeing this guy? Is this guy better, or this guy is someone I want to be with? Or it's because I do have certain things with my guy that I couldn't solve, that I just need some kind of emotional outlet.
I see.
And after that period of time, we both realized we do have problems. And I want my original relationship. So when I stopped seeing this guy, because I know for sure I cannot focus on my original relationship if I'm seeing that guy. So I make it quite clear to the guy, I know you're okay with me having a boyfriend, but this time I really don't think we should continue. We can continue. He's totally cool with that. And so I went back to my boyfriend and focused on our relationship with one-on-one marriage counseling, individual counseling. And so after that, my partner made it quite clear. I don't really want to know, but I would prefer that your relationship does not affect our relationship. Our relationship should be priority.
Right.
Otherwise, what's the point? Have this kind of arrangement.
Yeah.
So when you so by seeing this guy, it highlighted for you that there were issues with your with your primary
Definitely.
guy, and then when you realized that and you decided that you still wanted to be with your primary guy and you wanted that relationship to work, then you worked through the problems that you had with him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting.
It's a very learning experience. I think like any other relationship, it's not like this guy is going to be better, next time will be better, and it's for me, it's about how you solve a problem in a relationship.
Right.
Because you can compare to millions of guys, and every guy will be different and better in a way.
Yeah.
But what's more important to you? This guy has the same value. We agree on certain things strongly, and we are compatible. There are things that you probably need to work out, but long-term wise, this is the kind of guy you can talk to, you think you can live with, you get along. I think at that level, it's really hard to find someone better, so to speak.
Right.
Okay, so after you worked on your relationship with your guy, after that, then it was then you sort of knew how to manage another. How did that change how you got involved with other guys?
I think it changed how we both engage in our relationship outside of our relationship.
I see.
Yeah, because it's a relationship I had outside of our primary relationship. And we both learned how to communicate through this kind of situation. Yeah, he needs to talk to me. I don't need to talk to him, but I have to figure out my priority.
Right.
So I think it's quite clear after that period that we know how to deal with this kind of situation a lot better.
Okay.
It's quite an experience to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just let things randomly happen without trying to,
This is much more complicated than a two people.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's different kind of dynamic, different kind of societal pressure and expectation. So if you're not sure what to do, don't just rush into it. You got time to figure it out.
So do you think, would you recommend that people, if they want to get into this and they never tried it before, they take like small steps with their partner?
Very small step with a partner first.
Yeah.
What would you consider a small step?
Like mention about this idea. If we're going to do this, do you think this is going to affect our life? How is the living arrangement like? You start with a very general question.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you go into like details about, well, I want all your time, or like I'm okay with 3 days a week.
Right.
That kind of like joking kind of scenario, but very very detailed. Yeah. So you know what to expect to begin with, instead of not knowing anything.
Yeah.
So like I'm okay with you being with me 4 days a week. I'm totally cool with it. But if he's like, can we just do 2 days? And then you also have to be honest with it. 2 days, that's not really a lot. I don't really consider that a relationship anymore. So you really have to kind of think about this casually, but not like, you also have to know exactly what that you want.
Yeah.
In
Yeah,
that
before,
kind of
you have to really think about it, right?
It's not a random number.
Yeah.
It's the needs to fit into your lifestyle and your emotional status as well. Because if you're with this guy 2 days a week, are you going to be happy? Probably not. And what's the point to maintain this kind of relationship? I was like, 3 is probably minimum to maintain our relationship. We are doing something physically, mentally, whatever you want to do 3 days. But less than 3 days, it's like, why don't I just find another guy? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's very, a lot of what you're talking about, and I'm wondering if, when you guys were, going through doing your counseling and stuff, was a lot of it about being able to understand what your needs are? Because I think a lot of times, because of sort of societal pressure, we think certain things are going to make us happy, or that things should be a certain way, even if it doesn't, we don't actually care about it. And it takes some time to separate out what I really want, what's important to me, from what people think is important in general. And so was that a large part of the counseling process you guys went through, was sort of separating those things?
It's about communicating, actually, not about societal pressure, because in the States there's so much, there's no such thing as societal pressure.
For sure.
It's about communicating with your partner.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of times I will express my opinion, but I don't think my opinion matter to my partner.
At that
time.
Yeah.
So after the counseling, I realized if I don't like certain things, I like certain things, I need to make sure he understands it and respect it. I cannot just be like, okay, this is my opinion, but you can ignore it. It's also the same time he ignores my opinion, he ignores my feelings as well. And after being emotionally neglected for a while, my self-esteem was pretty down for a while. That's when I have doubt with my relationship.
I see.
Because the other guy was quite different from my partner.
I see.
So that's when we started to have problems.
I see.
It's a lot about communication.
I see. So you learned to put across your feelings a lot better in that process, and he developed a better ability to recognize when something was very important to you versus when something was not nearly as important.
Yeah, he is listening, like really listening instead of just hearing.
Right, I see.
I think there's a difference between listening and hearing.
Yeah.
You can hear what people said, but you don't listen. And for it can kind of work out for a while, but long-term wise, it's going to affect your relationship.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. I hope you got a lot out of out of this episode. I guess we'll cut it into 2 parts.
Yeah, I guess
it's
probably
how long?
2 hours. I guess. Yeah.
So we'll probably cut this into 2 parts. So, but thank you for joining us. I hope you got a lot out of this, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.